Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, Dirty Jake, with me, DJ Dub, and my brother, Joe. And this is Backyard Sportscast. Welcome to another great edition. We're going to go ahead and jump right into it. We have our top 5 from the weekend, followed by some other fun stuff. Worst games of the week, matchups. It's rival week, folks. Get excited. It's going to be a fun week of football. College football, that is. What do you have to say to that, Danny?
You cut rivalry short a little bit, but it's all good. You call it rival week, but it all plays the same.
Rivalry week.
There you go.
Trying to say that 10 times fast.
You want to jump into number 1?
Yes. UCLA fires head coach Jim Mora after 6 seasons.
Yeah, UCLA.
Pretty exciting stuff. They lost to USC, and after their third straight rival loss to USC, he gets fired. UCLA fell to 5-6 after that loss, and Mora was 46-30 for UCLA, which, given their prior history, wasn't awful, but they want to go into a different direction.
Well, it's partly because he was 17-19 in his last 3 seasons. It's under 500. That's not good.
No, that's not good.
So,
and you've heard from sources about some other interesting...
Well, yeah. Jim Mora's owed about $12.4 million, about thereabouts, from the school. It's left on his contract. Senior analyst Frank, he reports that half of the buyout was paid by a booster. Nobody has confirmed these reports yet, but they are preliminary.
Well, I won't believe him until he gets an upset of the week, right?
Okay. Well, Frank also says, look for Chip Kelly to UCLA. So, there you have it. You heard it here first.
It's a long way to travel from Bristol, Connecticut to Southern California.
You can get there.
Used to be in Oregon. That was closer.
Yeah, he didn't like the weather. That's why he left.
Yeah, he went to UConn.
Yeah.
You know where Jim Mora was before he went to UCLA?
I do not.
Tell us, Joe.
He was with the Atlanta Falcons.
The Atlanta Falcons.
That's in Georgia.
28-3.
But we're not talking about NFL.
Actually, I thought this was kind of interesting. It kind of sucks for UCLA because they're on the hinges of going to a bowl game. And not that it's any significant bowl game, but at least for the seniors to go to a bowl game. They're 5-6, and they play 5-6 Cal this week.
A fun fact about this firing. Jim Mora turned 56 on the day he got fired.
And his record improved to 5-6.
Well, yeah, I mean
that's a hell of a birthday.
That's a cool little thing, but yeah, what a rough way to get fired. On your birthday, no less. You couldn't wait 1 day.
For real.
Like, who were you talking to that day that needed to?
Yeah,
they're pretty harsh over there in California, and they're firing the
apparently
coaches.
They don't know how to do it. Apparently.
Yeah.
All right, number 2. Miami, Florida, the Hurricanes.
Okay.
They come back from 2 14-point deficits against Virginia to win 44-28. Keep their perfect season alive.
That was pretty crazy. I was out dove hunting on Saturday, and I was periodically checking the phone, and I was like, well, this isn't good. I was telling my grandfather, I was like, Miami's down 2 scores. It's 28-14. And he was like, damn. Something like that. You know how he talks. And he's like, I'm not too worried. They'll come back. I'm like, I don't know. This is a pretty big deficit. This seems like how they should be playing. The last couple of weeks might have been an anomaly. And then about 2 minutes later, I check it again, and it's tied up at 28.
Yeah. Well, it was very similar to the start of the game. They were down 14-0. It's only a 2-score game. It's early. It's easy to come back from. They come back, tie it up. Virginia takes the lead going into halftime. Virginia scores out of halftime, 28-14. Miami scores on their first possession, and then a pick 6 on the first play after they score. Yep, tied up the game. Jaquan Johnson got the turnover chain on that one to tie the game up.
The turnover chain.
And then Miami put it away in the 4th. By the way, some other schools have started to come up with their own version of the turnover chain, and they shut it down. It's not, all you're going to do is get ridiculed. The U came out with it. They've got it. It's basically a copyright at this point. Oregon came out with it, and they're just getting laughed at. So
there were some other teams that did some other interesting stuff. I forgot which team, but somebody has like a trash can.
Dumb.
And whenever... Yeah, you dunk the football into the trash can every time you get like a turnover or something like that.
Yeah. Well, Notre Dame tried to come up with a touchdown chain when they played Miami. We'll see how well that played out.
It didn't.
So yeah. Anyway, Miami put it away in the 4th quarter, scoring 30 straight points in the second half to win this game 44-28. It
was a good game.
Yeah, I mean Miami's they show up to play top competition and they blow them out of the water, and then they play down to the other competition in the ACC and the other schools, and they keep it close for whatever reason.
Well, if it keeps going in that direction, then they'll have a really good job. They'll do a really good job in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they get through Pitt first.
Hey,
what?
If Miami's going to be on the national stage, they've got to get rid of their color commentator on the radio. That guy is awful.
I haven't heard it.
Listening to that radio broadcast, every time he talked, we were dying laughing because he provided no insight whatsoever. It was him it was like taking a fan out of the stands and just having him be a cheerleader. It was awful.
Just so everyone knows, I am available for the 2019 and 18 season.
We'll pass your resume along.
Miami, look this way.
Yeah. I don't travel though, so I'm gonna have to do it remotely.
You watch the ESPN broadcast and talk from there.
All right, number 3.
Number 3, upset in Stillwater. Kansas State shocks the Cowboys, 45-40. This game was a
romp
through 3 quarters. That was very intimidating, Danny. I like it, like the high pitch that you bring. Mm-hmm. K-State was up 42-20 at the start of the 4th quarter, and Oklahoma State did have a chance to win late in the 4th, but went 4 and out to lose the game. Oklahoma State, how do you let that happen? You know,
I don't know that they had too much to play for. They didn't seem real motivated coming into this game.
Yeah, but Kansas State, they had like 5 wins at the time.
Yeah, I mean, they're not a bad team. Anybody can beat anybody in the Big 12. And like I said, Oklahoma State didn't have much to play for.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll take that back. They did have a chance to make it to the conference championship game. They didn't have a shot at the playoff. Their playoff chances were done. So you could say those were shot. But they did have a chance at the conference championship. Now that's over.
I feel like, Kansas State, we won't go into this too much, but Kansas State, they tend to be more of the middle of the pack or on the bottom half of that conference every year. And I feel like they could have been able to play for
Kansas
a
State
chance
won 9
to be
games
ranked.
last year.
Or, no, I'm sorry. Kansas State was obviously doing that. Just forget I said anything.
Okay, great.
Oklahoma State, you ruined it.
Fantastic.
Sorry about that.
Number 4, the FBS leading rusher, Rashad Penny from San Diego State. Not a Doak Walker finalist.
How many of those are finalists? How many finalists
3.
did they bring?
3 finalists. Very strange. The Doak Walker, for those who don't know, is given to the top running back in FBS. The finalists that were named were Bryce Love, Saquon Barkley, and Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin. Now, Rashad Penny has 800 more yards and 3 more touchdowns than Saquon Barkley, so that doesn't make much sense. And then Rashad Penny also beat Bryce Love when they went head-to-head in September. San Diego State won that game 20-17. So that also doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
What else does Rashad Penny have to do to get some love around?
Not play at San Diego State?
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah, but are you saying that the Mountain West defenses are that much worse than the Pac-12 defenses?
I don't know. I brought up a comparison between Mountain West and Pac-12, and you said they're not Power 5 conference, so that doesn't matter.
They're not.
So they're not a Power 5 conference.
I'm not talking about the overall team. I'm talking about the defenses.
I know, but they're non-Power 5 conference
Okay,
teams.
so they went to the Power 5 and they beat the Power 5. So then what?
That's one game.
Okay, against one of the other finalists.
Okay, Rashad Penny and Bryce Love never went face-to-face against each other.
No, but they played in the same game. Rashad Penny won the game.
Okay, again, one game.
And he's got 1,800 yards.
Do you think he deserves to win the Doak?
He's got he's got 1,800 yards and 17 touchdowns.
How much more than Bryce Love does he have?
He's got more yards and more touchdowns than Bryce Love. He's got more yards and more touchdowns than everybody else. He is the FBS's leading rusher. He's got the most yards.
Against Mountain West defenses?
Yes.
Okay.
So you're going to say Saquon Barkley would get 800 more yards against Mountain West defenses than he has against Big Ten?
I'd say there's a good chance.
No way. He'd have to average almost 100 yards more a game than what he did.
Well, if Rashad Penny can do it, why can't Saquon Barkley?
That's a good point. Why can't Saquon Barkley? He's got 800 more yards.
Because he's playing harder defenses. You didn't see him playing...
He's not playing harder defenses the first 3 weeks of the year. Penn State has a terrible schedule. Everybody was talking about how bad Penn State's schedule was. But now, all of a sudden, Saquon Barkley faces tough defenses. So Saquon Barkley's going up against tougher defenses than any of these finalists. Jonathan Taylor's in the Big Ten, but Wisconsin's got a weaker schedule. Bryce Love's in the Pac-12, which is terrible. So, by your logic, Saquon Barkley wins this award, even though he has the worst numbers out of all 3.
My logic. I was bringing this up as devil advocate because this tends to be your logic. Power 5 conferences and the level of difficulty against opponents. That's usually
That's team versus team. This is player level.
Okay, it should still be the same to me. With your logic, it should still be the same.
I had Quentin Flowers, non-Power 5 conference, in the Heisman watch at the beginning of the year. That's not thinking, only Power 5 people can be in this.
Yeah, you said you didn't really have a chance, though. you brought him up, but
I said if Quinn Flowers did the same thing he did last year, he would get an invite. But he hasn't.
no, he is not. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, I agree with you. He probably should be in there if he's throwing up those numbers. I didn't really look too much into Rashad Penny. I did see this in the news. I'm just saying it for you who seems to think, Power 5 conferences are, the end-all be-all. I was kind of surprised to hear that from you, that it doesn't matter.
Well,
who they're
how
playing
many
against.
undefeated non-Power 5 conferences are going to be in the playoff?
None.
When it's team versus team, that's where I bring in the Power 5 because that matters more.
I agree in the snub. I think he got snubbed. But obviously we're seeing more and more that where it comes into play is how good your team is and in what conference it is, whether they get the invite or not. And I say that in a separate related note.
And that's great, too, if the numbers are comparable. These numbers aren't even comparable.
Right. What I'm saying is that it's these awards, finalists, and stuff like that are completely subjective. And when you leave it up to people to vote on it, they're looking at records, they're looking at the teams that you're playing for, unfortunately. And, that doesn't matter in the NFL, but in college, the level of talent that you play against, unfortunately, does. But, like I was saying, that Johnny Townsend, number 2 punter in the nation for the Gators, right? Our second longest average per punt. He's like 3rd in the nation in punts inside the 20. He's not even a semifinalist for the Ray Guy Award. How does that make sense? Because the Gators were 3-6 at the time.
You feel like for a punter, the worse the record, probably the...
Right, because you're getting more opportunities.
Right. By the way, there's no way we hit 30 minutes.
Yeah.
We're at 12 already.
So you get for being a dick.
You can say that all you want, man. I think you're just a little mad because Bryce Love got his ass beat by Rashad Penny.
If you'd give Bryce Love the ball more.
yeah, true, but Sanford doesn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so moving on. South Alabama head coach Joey Jones resigns. And the only reason why I brought this one up is I thought it was interesting that this was the first head coach for South Alabama, right?
Okay.
Back in 2009, they started their franchise, I guess. I don't know, what do you call it? Their program.
Their program.
Was started in 2009. And he went undefeated for the first 2 years in FCS.
Mm-hmm.
And then his third year in FCS, he was still considered an FCS team, but he played an FBS schedule in like one game. Then when he got into the FBS, he had a rocky schedule and stuff. So, and he ended up going 52-49 in his tenure there. But it's interesting how quickly he was able to turn this team from no program to FCS to start in the FCS program. And then all of a sudden, go undefeated with a brand new program.
They just got waxed this last weekend.
Yeah.
52-0.
Yes.
Georgia Southern.
Yeah.
It was
It was South Alabama beat
clearly
Mississippi State last year.
Wasn't Georgia Southern 0-9 or maybe 1-9 going into this game?
Yeah.
52-0.
Yeah, they were 0-9. They're 1-9 now. Georgia Southern.
So, evidently he might have got them into FBS a little too quickly, but you don't really see a lot of FCS schools get up to the FBS that quickly in a couple of years like that. So I thought it was interesting. He resigned. He left on good terms, and that was pretty cool.
I'll root for the Jaguars.
Yeah.
USA.
Danny has a new shitty team to root for. Congratulations.
I will just silently root for them. All right. Let's move on to the Baylor Watch.
Did they win?
They did not.
No.
They are 1-10.
The double digits. High five.
High five. Okay. They play TCU next at TCU on the road to 11 losses. Do they lose?
Yes.
Yes, they do.
What if Kenny Hill doesn't play?
You do not have to watch this game. I'm letting you all, one of you know, you do not have to watch this game.
Baylor is getting the 11 on the record.
Yes, 1-11. Beautiful.
At least they beat Kansas.
Who will be on the Baylor Watch next season? Wait and find out.
Do we have to do a Baylor Watch next season?
We have to do a Baylor Watch next season for a different team other than Baylor, probably.
But should we still follow them and follow their losing streak?
No, we will call it Baylor Watch, and we will follow a different team.
I like it.
Yes.
South Alabama next year.
South Alabama on the Baylor Watch.
No, I'm going to go ahead and throw my hat into the UTEP ring, undefeated, or haven't won a game yet.
I'd like to follow the Chanticleers, but we'll get to that next year.
Is that Coastal Carolina?
That is Coastal Carolina. You want to talk about your worst game of the week?
Yeah. Rivalry week special. 4-6 FSU at 4-6 Florida.
That's the worst game you could find this week? You gotta be fucking kidding.
Well, it probably should have been Georgia Southern versus the Raging Cajuns, but these two teams are just awful, and, I just wanted to go for this one.
Yeah, I mean, you can't put Georgia Southern on worst game of the week when they just dropped 52 on South Alabama.
You absolutely can.
Not to mention, I'm pretty sure we have contractual obligations to not put a team in too many times in one season.
Right, yeah.
Well, shoot, Coastal Carolina's been in there 3 times.
Yeah,
I think that's the max.
You're 1-2 in those games, not too well.
No, I'm 2-2. What? 2 and
No, you're 1-2.
Did I get it wrong last week?
Yeah, they lost.
Oh man,
You picked them over Idaho and they lost.
Crap. Okay, well, they'll never be on worst game of the week again. Anyways, I believe we'll be talking about this game. We'll talk about this game more later. Actually, you guys can be involved in this conversation now, so worst game of the week can get to the recognition it deserves. Then we just will skip your game of the week. So worst game of the week. What do you guys think? Who wins this game?
Florida State.
Joe?
Gators.
Oh, you're crazy.
Because why not?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, I'm not going to pick FSU.
Yeah, you take your team, I'll take my team.
Right.
One of us will get to 5 wins.
Exactly.
Who would have thought, with a capital THOT, that 2 teams preseason ranked in the top 20 would end up in the worst game of the week? I, for one, didn't.
No.
Unless I was doing the bowl edition.
I mean, nobody saw 6 losses coming from both schools.
But that's what happens when your coach deteriorates your offense and your star player gets
That's
out for
not your
season.
coach. That's your. It's been a long time. Your offense has been terrible for years before McElwain.
Not as bad as when McElwain got there, though.
I don't know, man. Muschamp's offenses were terrible.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I don't know. They're hitting all-time low this season. FSU has shown glimpses of fundamental ability this season,
I guess you could call it that.
which is something that Florida has been lacking. I mean, even look at them playing against crappy teams. I guarantee you there's not a team that Florida could have played out there where they put up 70 points unless you're looking at, like,
I don't
the
know.
lowest division of high school.
Delaware State is like a bad FCS school, so I don't know. Maybe. They put up 36 against UAB.
They could put up a lot of points against UTEP or Coastal Carolina.
I don't know.
Or, if they got another shot at Missouri.
Yeah, Florida put 36 points on UAB for first time back after first time back as a program. UAB, they did put 36 points, but 5 field
full
goals.
eligible UAB.
With 5 field goals though. 15 of those points were field goals,
Yeah, that's fine.
and most of them were 40 plus yards. So they're not really
Points on the board, baby.
There's points on the board.
Points on the board.
well. 5 field goals isn't going to beat Florida State this week. That's the
It
point I'm
might.
making.
Our offense is bad.
I mean,
You just put up 70 points. That's what I'm trying to say.
against Delaware State.
I don't care who you're
They're
playing.
an FCS program.
A 1 in 10 FCS program.
Still, 70 points. You sit here and tell me that Will Greer can play an FCS school and put up 70 points.
Will Greer, 100%
Absolutely.
Will Greer, oh my gosh.
100% he could. He doesn't have
Felipe
FCS.
Franks. He could have a dislocated middle finger and put up
Oh, yeah,
70
you go out
points.
there.
I'll agree with you on that one. Felipe Franks, I guarantee you he can't put up 70 points anywhere right now. I bet if Florida played Delaware State, they would have not have been close to 70 points.
My thing on Felipe Franks, I read up an article on this earlier this week. He has the talent. You can see the talent is there. He's not well coached. He hasn't been taught how to read reads beyond his first 2 people. They're telling him, look at the one guy, and if he's not there, check it down.
He might be a little simple-minded too.
He can throw the deep ball. I mean, he's got things that you can't coach. He's got a really strong arm, and he's got the body size to be a good quarterback. He's not well coached. I think if you get a good coach in there next year, he's a completely different person. That's just me. But as it stands today, I agree he's not the guy of the future.
I'm watching the rankings be unveiled live. Sorry.
Ooh, live coverage.
Oh man, I already lost.
We'll get to that in a minute.
So anyways, to wrap this up, I think Florida State's going to win by double digits. That's my prediction.
I don't know about double digits. I mean, anything's possible. Florida has the tendency to lay down and take it. So, I mean, you never know. You never know.
Last year they were a better program. I mean, granted FSU was as well, and last couple of years they've destroyed Florida. So I don't see why this would be any different, especially without a head coach. And
Yeah, I will
without
say
an
this:
offense.
Florida's going to have to score more than 20 points to win this game. I think.
and score more than 2 touchdowns against a team like UAB.
You know what I want to see on Saturday?
What
Trick plays.
All right, that'll be fun.
It's the end of their season.
Yeah.
Pull out the gadgets. Let Dre Massey throw the football. I don't care. Kadarius Toney used to be a quarterback in the spring.
You know what? Here, let's just agree as Florida and Florida State fans. You guys are going to put your kicker out there at quarterback, and we're just going to run the ball 112 times. And whoever wins, wins. It's a run play every down. We'll see what happens.
Eddie Pinheiro, you're our boy.
Trick plays, I'd be very disappointed if I don't see a fake punt on 3rd down. And that's what I'm going to close this on.
Let's go for 2 every time.
If we can't score a
Gentlemen's
touchdown...
agreement.
Wait, Florida State or Florida?
Both of them.
If we can't even
Both,
score a
but gentlemen's
touchdown,
agreement.
why would we score a 2-point conversion?
Well, whatever.
Let's talk about Heisman people.
All right, let's breeze through this. Same 3 as last week. Lamar Jackson, Bryce Love, Baker Mayfield.
Rashad Penny.
He'd be receiving votes. He's probably not going to get an invite because he didn't even get a finalist vote for the Doak Walker. But anyway, Lamar Jackson, 14 for 26, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, 111 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, bringing his season total to 40 total touchdowns. Bryce Love last week, 14 carries for 101 yards and 1 touchdown against California. Meh.
They brought him back down to the teens again for rushes.
Yeah, I mean,
it's probably because he's been injured.
Yeah, and they squeaked out a victory against California. I don't know what it is with Stanford in these close wins, but Baker Mayfield, the Heisman frontrunner and probable winner, 20 of 30, 257 yards, 3 touchdowns in the win versus Kansas.
Grab your cup to that.
He's got 39 total touchdowns this year, and he's pretty much a lock at this point, unless he goes out and throws a bunch of interceptions against West Virginia, which I don't see happening.
Or kills a opponent player.
Right, he the off the field issues notwithstanding. Anyway, on to my super stats.
Danny's dudes.
All right. Quarterback position. Mike White, Western Kentucky. 39 of 54 for 485 yards and 5 touchdowns in a 41-38 win versus Middle Tennessee State.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Quiz. Quick quiz.
Quick quiz.
What school did Mike White play at before Western Kentucky?
Jefferson High School.
I don't know. But he went to USF.
Oh,
He played at USF, and then when Quentin Flowers beat him for the job, he transferred to Western Kentucky.
I thought you meant high school.
Great addition there. Running back, Rashad Penny.
Well, he may not be a Doak Walker, but he's a Danny's dude now.
24 carries for 222 yards and 2 touchdowns. What he's been doing all year.
Congratulations,
I hope you're keeping track of how many times these guys make the Danny's Dudes.
I know he's been on here at least one other time this season.
2-time Danny Dude winner.
Yeah, I should really do that. You're right. And the receiver, Brendan O'Leary Orange.
I'm sorry, what was his last name?
That is Brendan O'Leary -Orange.
You're not misspelling that name or mispronouncing.
I hope not.
It's a Jewish
Wide
Irishman.
receiver at Nevada. 11 receptions for 214 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 23-42 loss to San Diego State. Here at Danny's Dudes, we like to throw 2 players from the same game, typically from opposite teams. We did it last week. We did it this week. Anyway, if you listeners have any incredible stat lines from the weekend,
And they don't.
send them into @BYSC Podcast or @DubDish for a chance to be featured in next week's podcast. By the way, live, being updated right now, the top 4. Alabama at 1. Miami at 2. Strange. Clemson at 3. This better be Oklahoma at 4. I'm going to die. Dramatic pause. We're going to get to that next, since we're done with the stats.
Want me to talk about Whoa Bro while we wait for this 4th one to come out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Whoa, bro. Who's ready for this?
4 is Oklahoma, as
Oh.
we predicted. 5 should be Wisconsin, and 6 should be Auburn. Anyway, on to your...
Okay. Whoa, bro. So, speaking of Baker Mayfield and his, it wasn't really off-field antics. So, Baker Mayfield decides to, what?
No, you keep going. I'm just thinking about this next segment and how I'm going to tear this committee a new one.
Oh. You want to just go ahead and talk about it and get back to Whoa, bro?
Come on, Whoa, bro.
All right. So, let me talk about the Oklahoma-Kansas game, all right?
Okay, let's talk about it.
So, the coin flip
You
happens,
didn't even see this, but all right, talk about it.
and the Kansas captains refuse to shake Baker Mayfield's hand during the coin toss.
Yes, they do.
All right. So, that made Baker Mayfield a little salty. What was that?
That's what he did. I'm
was
not going to make the clapping
he was
noise. I got the
clapping.
mic right here. But after they refused to shake his hands, he went, all right. And then he was clapping his hands.
Danny was doing a very awkward motion of resembling clapping,
Yeah.
minus the clap. So, during the game, Kansas takes a few cheap shots after a couple of plays at Baker. in the first half. And then when Baker Mayfield throws a touchdown pass to make it 28-3, he grabs his groinal region,
His cup.
He was readjusting.
and says,
Let me readjust my cup.
what does he say while
You guys over there, you just watch me readjust my cup over here. That's what he was saying.
But what did he physically say?
I couldn't tell you. I wasn't there.
Well, reports say that he said the F word,
Thank you.
said F-U, to the Kansas bench. And then Mayfield was also spotted telling some loud Kansas fans, you have one win, stick to basketball. And
Inaccurate analysis.
He wasn't wrong.
Inaccurate analysis.
then the bass dropped.
Mm-hmm.
So he went on a heartfelt apology tour afterwards, and to a point where he was almost reduced to tears in his press conference, talking about how sorry he was and how inappropriate that was.
Yeah, I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah, he was being a little overdramatic. So he won't start this game, this final game against West Virginia, but he will play because Oklahoma is going to give up that easy.
He's going to sit out like maybe a drive.
Probably the first series or two.
He may
One play.
He may sit out one play. I've seen that
Bring
before.
him in.
I've seen that where they let him. All right, you're not going to start. We're going to send a message, and then okay, second down, you're in.
Help us.
You stay close to me.
Yes. I think the thing that hurt him most and why he was so emotional during the press conference is because he will not be a captain during what I believe is Oklahoma's senior day. I know that he's not a senior. I think he's a junior. I'll check that. I'll double check that. But I
think he's a senior.
He was emotional about that.
It is their senior day, though.
So I ask you the question: was it justified?
Was
what
what
he
justified?
did? What he did to the Kansas team and Kansas fans
The crotch grab?
and the F-bomb?
Yeah.
Oh, you do think it's justified?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
They refused to shake his hand. That's utter disrespect right off the bat. I would have smacked him right in the face right at the captain's meeting.
I highly doubt he would have done that. But I see your point. Joe, was it justified?
Absolutely.
Would you have done that when you were a captain of a football team once?
Probably not.
You
But I'm also not Baker Mayfield.
Well,
Well, yeah, you are a little bitch. So.
Well, I mean, you don't shake my hand and I'm as good as Baker Mayfield. I'm going to make you feel it. If the coach would have left Baker Mayfield in the entire game, I'm aiming for 70.
Yeah, if Baker Mayfield extends his hand to you,
You take it.
Yeah, you take it. You say, how many shakes do you want?
Yes. It's just a respectful thing to do at the pregame. Even rivals shake hands. This is Kansas.
And if Baker Mayfield drops an F-bomb at you, you say, thank you, may I have another.
Yeah. No, you don't do that. But you're Kansas. You have one win. I get that you're trying to get amped up for this game. You couldn't get amped up during the week because you weren't going up against the Heisman winner or, number 4 Oklahoma. You just had to get amped up by not shaking their hands at the coin toss. I got it. That's a dumb decision.
What was the final score of that game?
41-3.
Well, I'm sure they were pretty amped that they only dropped 41 points.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're
It
excited.
wasn't 60.
Yeah, I'm sure they're excited with their one win over there. Let's be honest. Nobody was even at this game because basketball season has started. Kansas fans don't care about football once basketball season starts.
Don't care about football when football starts.
Well, that's probably accurate as well.
They haven't cared since 2007.
It's been a while.
And lastly, for Wobro / Was It Justified, a recurring update on one of our past segments.
This will be the last update, probably.
Latrell Lee, remember him? He's the one who decked his coach 2 times during a game on the sidelines, FCS school.
Yeah, I
Remember
remember Tennessee State, yeah.
We had some fun trying to figure out why exactly he did it, and we listed off some of our reasons why he might have done that. So apparently that coach has suffered some extensive injuries, and not only was Latrell Lee kicked off the team and expelled from school, but he is now facing charges for aggravated assault. So I hope that was worth it. We watched the video of him punching his coach, and
I hope he goes to jail.
it's pretty funny.
That's not funny.
But yeah, I just wanted to give that update. And the only other update about the whole incident was that at the time that he got punched, the coach was issuing direction to his team. So he was telling them to do something. We don't know what it was.
My colleague Joe was correct. Baker Mayfield is a redshirt senior, it looks like, this season. He started. Does anybody know how he started or where he started?
At USF?
No.
They started Texas A&M as a...
Texas Tech.
Or Texas Tech as a
As
walk-on.
a walk-on.
Yeah. I knew he was a walk-on.
Now he's about to win the Heisman.
At Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Good for him.
How do you think Texas Tech feels right now? He's sitting at 5-6.
Yeah, I hope Baker goes on to play on Sundays. I know he's undersized, but
No, I thought that was Sam Darnold you hope to see on Sundays.
all of them.
Oh.
I mean, I don't think Baker Mayfield will be a round 1 pick, but I think round 2 or 3, somebody should take a chance on him. If you we've talked about this. If you're that efficient with the football, you deserve a chance to play on Sunday.
Russell Wilson makes it happen.
Yep.
So
And he's
does Drew
tiny,
Brees.
too.
Yeah. There's successful small quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, look at the Saints this year, jeez.
Yeah. Good
All right, let's talk about the playoff committee.
All right, let's talk about the playoff committee. Let's talk about these dumb bunch of idiots.
Let's.
All right, so why are you going to rip them a new one? We already talked about
Because
the
my
top four.
predicted top 10 this week, which we were going to do, and I didn't realize it was at 7 o'clock this evening. My predicted top 10 was Bama, Clemson, Miami of Florida, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Auburn, Georgia, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Penn State. The exact same 10 as last week. And they got 10 through 7 right, or actually, technically, 10 through 4. 4 through 10 is the exact same as last week. Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Auburn, Georgia, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Penn State. Exact same as last week. Perfect. Nobody really played anybody except for Wisconsin, but they didn't play a team good enough to jump over Oklahoma. So everybody should have stayed right where they were at. Would have been nice and fine. Clemson played a FCS school. Miami played Virginia. Bama played, who knows, was it an FCS school as well?
Yes. They put up 50-something points against them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Clemson played the Citadel. Alabama played Mercer.
Yeah.
That's right. So the committee this week has decided that Miami beating Virginia and being down 14 points twice to Virginia means they get to hop Clemson to number 2. And I know this may seem not a big deal because number 2 plays number 3, so it's still the same matchup as last week.
And they have to play each other in the ACC championship.
And they still have to play each other in the ACC championship anyway. But you know what? That's terrible. Why is Miami jumping Clemson?
Because Clemson lost this season to Syracuse. Have you forgotten?
So why put Clemson ahead of Miami all these weeks and now make that change after Miami almost loses to Virginia?
I have no freaking clue. I
Okay.
guess the defense performance.
In all honesty, I think after they beat Notre Dame the way they did, they should have been number 2.
Yeah, if you were gonna, that's my problem. If you're going to put them at 2, fine. Put them at 2 after they beat Notre
They're
Dame.
correcting a prior week's mistake.
They shouldn't be doing. They're the committee. They shouldn't be having prior week mistakes. That's why we got rid of the BCS because the BCS was considered flawed.
It was.
They didn't have the eye test, okay?
Anyway, this is ridiculous. I don't see why Miami deserves to jump Clemson in this scenario. It makes 0 sense to me.
All that being said, if there's an opening for the playoff committee next year for the 2018-19 season,
I am
this way.
available. I will fix some problems in that room. I can guarantee you that.
I doubt you can fix problems in there. You're too soft-spoken.
No, I've got it. Trust me.
Yeah, behind the security of a microphone, you can say all you want.
Yeah,
You
well,
wouldn't say it to their face.
yes, I would. Get me in that room.
Okay, I'll make some phone calls.
All right.
Call up Uncle Frank.
For the record, Joe had a predicted top 10 very similar to mine. He just switched Ohio State to 8, jumping over Notre Dame, which pushed them back to 9. However, his was incorrect as well.
I picked the wrong switch.
Yeah, he picked the wrong switch.
Mine was correct, though.
That's what it feels like almost. It almost feels like the committee said, we can't have the same exact top 10 as last week. Where are we going to jump somebody? And they just, they spun a wheel and it landed on Clemson.
Yeah.
So that's ridiculous.
In all honesty, we're bickering over something that's going to literally last 1 week.
This doesn't matter at all, but the committee's horseshit for even suggesting this. They say they don't look to the future. They go based on the current situation and no looking ahead. And what the hell is this?
You heard it here first.
Anyway, moving on.
Are you calm down now?
Yeah, I'm going to recap last week's upset picks.
Yeah, you got it right. I got it wrong.
Correct, I did. I picked A&M over Ole Miss. They won 31-24. You picked NC State over Wake Forest. And I quote, I'm only picking this because it's ridiculous.
And I need a win.
And Wake Forest beat NC State 30-24.
Jesus.
Moving Jake's record to 3-7 on the year. He is not bowl eligible. Meanwhile, I am 5-4.
Almost bowl eligible.
Almost bowl eligible, winning more than 50% of my games. And I
I was 3-1 this season.
I'm actually proud of you this week.
I have picked Auburn. Number 6 Auburn over number 1 Alabama.
I'm proud of you this week because this is actually your first reach the whole year.
Okay, now let's calm down. All right, I took
Nice.
a reach week 1. Okay, week 1, if we can all go back. I picked a double-digit underdog that happened to win that game.
What, North Carolina?
I believe it was Cal over North Carolina.
Yeah. Because back then, nobody knew that North Carolina would be 1-10.
I don't care about your
Or 3
opinion
and- 3
because
and
you're 3-7. I don't care about your opinion because you only have 4 picks. So Auburn over Alabama is my pick. Alabama, 4.5-point favorites. This is a 3:30 kickoff on Saturday. It decides the SEC West. The winner plays Georgia in the SEC Championship for a chance to get into the college football playoff. And the loser should be out of the playoff race. I don't care if it's Bama. I don't care if it's Auburn. They should be out.
Yeah, if Auburn loses, they're definitely out because that's 3 losses.
Yeah,
If
but then what
Bama
happens
loses.
if Bama loses? Yeah, everybody's like, oh, well, it's Bama.
Oh, you're going to drop to 4.
Yeah,
Alabama.
it's Bama, so I guess I got to put them in.
We'll put Bama at 4 and move Oklahoma to number 1 so nothing changes in the playoffs.
Right, there you go. Perfect. Because you know what's going to happen now? Alabama, with 1 loss, either to Auburn or Georgia, is going to get into this playoff.
Of course. Because Clemson or Miami has to lose.
And Clemson or Miami is going to lose.
Right.
And
And
Wisconsin-
Miami, with 1 loss to Clemson,
Will
who's
be
in the
out.
playoff, will be out
With Alabama in.
with Alabama in. But, let's not worry about strength of schedule or anything like that because, it's Alabama. So,
How do you feel about that, Danny?
I feel like that's horse shit.
Yeah?
I do not feel like all credit to Alabama. They're 11-0. You deserve to be in the playoff right now. You're undefeated. One of 4 undefeated teams in the country. God, great, fantastic. You have not played a very tough schedule.
What if Auburn beats Alabama?
Auburn beats Alabama. Alabama is 1 loss and will be in the playoff without winning their conference. How about that?
Auburn loses to Georgia in the SEC championship.
Georgia's in.
And Alabama's out?
No.
Put them back in?
Yeah, Georgia will hop up to 3. Bama will slide into 4.
Yeah, because if that happens, Joe, who do you think wins Miami and Clemson in this example? In the ACC
I would put
championship?
right now. I would put my money on Clemson.
Okay, so Clemson wins and Alabama lost, so Clemson goes to number 1. Oklahoma, let's say they win their championship. Oklahoma becomes number 2.
Okay.
You said that Auburn beats Bama, who then jumps to 4, and Wisconsin will lose to Ohio State.
Okay.
Ohio State won't make it in. Wisconsin will drop out. Auburn plays Georgia. Georgia wins. Auburn jumps out. Georgia hops over Wisconsin, and the loser of the Clemson-Miami game ends up at number 4.
That means Georgia would hop over Miami as well.
Yes. After that loss, and yeah.
So who's number 1 after all of that?
Oklahoma
No.
or Clemson. Or the winner of the
Clemson or
Miami.
Miami would be number 1, right?
Right. The
If
winner of
Alabama loses.
Right now, the winner of the ACC championship, because clearly, Clemson and Miami both better than Oklahoma according to the committee.
You just need to knock it down a couple picks, all right?
All right. You know what? We'll see what happens. I guess we'll see what happens.
Let's talk about my upset.
I just know Bama's getting in with 1 loss, and it's going to infuriate the hell out of me.
What happens if Bama goes undefeated? Will you take back any of the stuff that you've said?
No, I think Bama definitely could go undefeated. I don't think they're a bad football team. I just don't get for the argument of strength of schedule and all that. I don't see why they should be ranked ahead of certain other teams.
Look, the reality is these next 2 games, they're going to play top 10 opponents. And if they can beat those 2 top 10 opponents, they deserve to be there. But
Yeah, that definitely helps their schedule. To this point, I guess their best win is Mississippi State,
Yeah.
LSU.
LSU, maybe. They're both kind of in the same area.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
Oh, FSU, no.
Calm down. All right, so that is my upset pick. I believe that is also Joe's upset pick.
How original. Mine is I'm 3-7.
Yeah, so original. Shut up.
I'm 3-7 this season. I'm giving up on upsets. My pride and joys and worst games of the week. So I'm gonna say Pitt over number 3 Miami.
God.
Good luck. 14-point underdogs. Good luck. More power to you.
Oh, I'm reaching. It's a double-digit underdog.
You're going to look like a lucky fool.
Yeah, I wrote down if I'm right, I'm gonna look like a genius or a lucky fool. I'm fine with either.
He's 3-7. He looked like a lucky fool week 1 when he took the 18.5-point underdog Maryland Terrapins.
It was over Texas.
Yeah, 5-7 Texas. You look like a lucky fool back then.
No, I think I looked pretty smart that one.
They were ranked.
They were. You remember that? Everybody remember that? Remember when they were ranked to start the year? 5-7 Texas.
This
They're
committee's
6 and
fool.
5. They're 6 and 5 right now.
Yeah, well, 5-7 last year.
I know. Oh, I know. I've heard that every podcast.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you. Thank you for listening, loyal listener.
In an effort to kind of calm the steam that's coming off of Danny's face, let's go ahead and talk about your money.
All right. I lost all 3 of my bets last week.
So he got more pissed off now.
As is tradition, apparently, this season, I did not do well. My parlay lost due to NC State and Army both losing. Army was in a close game. They lost by 3 to North Texas, back and forth all game. Lost on a last-second field goal. And NC State just didn't show up against Wake Forest. My teaser lost to Georgia Tech, coming out of nowhere to absolutely be terrible against Duke.
Senior analyst Frank was not happy about that either.
Senior analyst Frank was not happy about that game. I agree. Georgia Tech. Let this be a note to everybody out there. Georgia Tech, the option team, very difficult to bet. I know I bet their game again this week, but typically the key would be to stay away from option teams. You never know what type of game you're going to get with the option programs.
You jerk.
What?
I just remembered. I knew I was missing something under Woe Bro. Why isn't Will Greer's finger breaking under there?
Will Greer dislocated his finger. All right, so we covered that. So single bet, I lost due to Will Greer and his dislocated middle finger.
Whoa, bro, have you seen that video yet? It's pretty gross.
It is gross. I saw it live. Didn't realize it till he came back, just holding it up nonchalantly. Great. It's a weird way to flick off the crowd.
Yeah, it kind of looks like your pinky right now.
Yeah, it's gross. And anyway, West Virginia, by the way, should have been up about 14-0 in that game. They had 2 touchdowns two touchdowns reversed, basically. One was due to a flag. The second one was Will Greer diving into the end zone, breaking his pinky and fumbling it in for a touchback. Or bringing his middle finger, correct. So I lost that single bet with West Virginia against Texas. It was not a good week for me.
No, it wasn't.
So we'll see how we do this week.
Yep, you have a $30 budget. I'm pulling back some money on you.
Right, well, that's a smart thing based on prior experiences. I've not done well this year. My 3-team parlay. It is not an underdog special. It is Ohio, -4 versus Buffalo. Florida Atlantic, -21 versus Charlotte. And Arizona, -1 versus Arizona State.
Putting a lot of faith in FAU over there.
Charlotte is 1-10 or 1-9 or something terrible. And FAU hasn't lost a conference game, and most of their conference games haven't even been close. They should romp Charlotte. And Buffalo, they could screw me. Let's be honest. It's a small spread, but Ohio should win that game. And Arizona, Khalil Tate, if he is as good as everybody says he is.
Ohio plays tonight, don't they?
They should handle Arizona State. I have no idea. 6-point teaser time. Virginia Tech -7.5 versus Virginia. That 7.5, of course, goes to 1.5. Are you looking that up for me?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Georgia at -11 goes to against Georgia Tech. That -11 goes to a -5. And Texas A&M +10.5 versus LSU. I think they may win this game outright. That 10.5 goes to 16.5. So you got Virginia Tech -1.5 against Virginia, Georgia -5 versus Georgia Tech, and Texas A&M +16.5 versus LSU.
How much you putting on this teaser? Because out of your $30, because you're making a lot that the right Texas A&M is showing today or this game.
I'm gonna put $10 on that teaser.
Don't just split up 10-10.
I'm gonna put $10 on that parlay, and I'm gonna put $10 on that single bet. My single bet being Iowa -3.5 versus Nebraska. So take that for what you will, everyone. I'm 0-1 in all of those categories. So not looking great, but here's hoping. All right, let's get to the game of the week.
Well, we already talked about Florida State and Florida. Florida State's going to win that one. My game of the week is number 8 Notre Dame at number 22 Stanford. Notre Dame 2.5-point favorites. So I want to take this moment to just rant about how inconsistent Stanford is, like the most inconsistent team of this season. They're so wishy-washy. They barely beat Cal, but then they go in a couple weeks ago or last week they beat number 9 Washington. And they'll put up 49 against Oregon, and then only 15 against Oregon State and barely win by like 5 points or something like that.
Oregon State's 1-10, by the way.
The Oregon State game, Bryce Love didn't play. He was out that game.
49 against
Oregon State's 1-10.
Yeah, but this team is nothing without Bryce Love.
And that's my whole point. They're 1-10. They only put up 15, even without Bryce.
I know.
And they put up 58 against UCLA. And then they win.
Here's why I have a problem.
And then they won 23-20 against Utah.
I was just going to put a fight with whatever you said next. So
I'm choosing to ignore you.
Okay, great.
So Stanford's been very back and forth. If you look at that as a cycle, though, they played really crappy last week, which means they're going to play bomb this week against Notre Dame.
Jesus Christ. Because you just said that? No, they are not.
No, you're not. Well, the other thing is that the Notre Dame Stanford games are usually really good in prior years.
They are.
They're fun games to watch, and I don't think they are always at like 10 o'clock at night or 2 in the morning. So it'd probably be a pretty close game. And just for the fun of it, I'm gonna say Stanford's gonna win, just to screw more stuff up this season.
Okay, that's fair. I got Notre Dame.
And I also wrote down, give Bryce Love the ball, please. That's a PLS, please.
Yeah, they need to get on the ball 20 times or they're not winning this game.
You heard it here first. Another Danny's bold prediction.
I think 30 times.
30? I don't think he's getting the ball 30 times. I don't think he's that durable. I had Florida
He had
State.
40 carries in a game earlier this year, didn't he?
Yeah, but he's been hurt since.
No.
Florida State at Florida
Man
was
up.
my game of the week. We already talked about it. As Jake said, it's a noon game. Florida State 5.5-point favorites.
Double-digit win.
James Blackman versus Felipe Franks. Who cares? It's gonna be whoever turns the ball over less. It's the same old, same old. Whoever turns the ball over less, whoever can run the ball better.
Florida State. Joe, let's talk about your game of the week, which I left for you. I wanted to pick them, but,
My game of the week?
For the record, the real game of the week is Auburn versus Alabama, but we picked it as our upset of the week, so that's why we're not talking about it here.
My game of the week, the war on I-4.
And if you're not
USF.
familiar, I-4 is an interstate road that goes through the middle of Florida.
Yeah. Makes USF and UCF an hour and a half apart of each other, straight down that interstate. It's usually about 3 hours because of the traffic on the interstate.
Yeah.
It's awful.
It's terrible. Anyway, just like this rivalry. USF, 6-2 all time against UCF, with their losses coming in 13 when
13
UCF,
for sure, because that's when UCF beat Georgia and Baylor.
they went to the BCS Bowl.
Or not Georgia and Baylor, I'm sorry. That was back-to-back years. They beat A.J. Green and then they beat RG3, I believe.
Yeah. Well, they won the next year as well because USF was terrible then too. Other than that, USF has dominated the series. They won the last 2 times they've played. And
Thanks, Willie.
What's the spread?
this year is looking gloom again for the Bulls.
Yeah.
UCF favored
10.
by 10.
10-point favorites.
10-point favorites. How do you
Everybody
feel
was
about
hoping that these teams would come together undefeated and be like an epic matchup of, mid-teens.
that? They were
top
so
25.
close. USF had to go and screw the pooch and screw up this great matchup. This would have been a great banner game for the non-Power 5 conference.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And
Now USF is unranked.
But the thing is, it still kind of is. We'll find out. They may put, because this is something I know the committee does.
This is still a good game.
They will rank USF just to make this a top 25 matchup. I think I don't know what the top 25 is, but I think with USF being 9-1, they can slide them in at 23 and have it be a 15-23 matchup with UCF and USF, just because it creates that.
I'll take a look for you.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm guessing, but I would think that the committee for 1 week, one of the 2 teams are going to win, and it's a ranked matchup, and then whoever does win, they're going to represent
Nope.
their side. USF still didn't make it in.
USF did not make it in. UCF stayed at 15, which I had in my predictions earlier that I thought they were going to jump up to 13. Instead, they get jumped by Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Does that just piss you off?
Well, one of the frustrating things about it is
Mississippi State should have lost to Arkansas. Let's get that straight right now.
they should have.
UCF is 10-0. Give them some damn love. Get them in the top 10 for the bowl games.
Yeah. Well, especially in the way they've been winning, which is why UCF is favored by 10. Because USF 9-1 has not been winning games like they've
This is going to be a high scoring.
been supposed to. I think this is going to be a very high scoring matchup between the two
UCF
teams.
averages 8 points a game, and
Yeah.
USF averages 39. And that's 39 points a game after they've slowed down the back half of the season.
It'll be an interesting matchup. Mackenzie Milton versus Quentin Flowers. Good little quarterback battle there.
It's at UCF this year?
Yeah, it's in
It's
Orlando.
in Orlando, yeah. Which is why the spread's a little higher than what it would normally be with a 10-0 team and 9-1 team meeting. But I have to go UCF just because of the season they're having and the fact that very few teams have been able to even keep it close against them. So I think it'll be an entertaining game either way.
My take on it is, and again, you never know with rivalry games. I'm not here to say that USF's going to win outright, but they certainly cover the spread, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think.
I would love to see FSU and UCF win over rivals this week. That would be huge for my self-esteem.
And Buffalo win against Ohio?
Well, yeah, Buffalo plays on Friday, by the way.
Yeah, I checked.
Okay.
We moved on from the topic before I could
Gotcha.
just say.
USF has not shown any glimpses of getting any better. They've gotten less and less good this season. Last week they did not play very well against, who was it?
Tulsa.
Tulsa.
2-9 Tulsa.
Yes.
Hurricane.
It was a very close game. So I'm worried about them, but I graduated from USF. I'm going to say Bulls win.
Okay, great. All right, so do we have any fan topics for this week, Jake? Have you been able to check that? Do you want me to check it?
I'll check it, but I know the first one was talk about rumors of, and you're going to give me heart palpitations, of Butch Jones rumors going to Florida.
I did not hear these rumors. I don't know where these rumors are coming from. I'm not up on the whole Florida coaching search. They're keeping it pretty tightly under wraps, but I think Butch Jones would be a terrible hire for Florida.
Dude.
That's not the splash hire they want. They want somebody that's going to make the team exciting again. So you're going to go and take the guy at Tennessee that was absolutely awful this year, got ran out of the building multiple times.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
By the way, that comment came from our cousin Chris Brown, who's an Alabama fan, and he knows how much we hate Butch Jones. So I guarantee you there are no rumors whatsoever about Butch Jones going to Florida.
Is it the Chris Brown again? I can't believe we have a celebrity that comments on our stuff week after week.
Yeah, it's incredible. He comments on it. I'm not sure he watches it. We had one view a couple weeks ago. I'm not sure.
Damn, it was just you. I'm pretty sure I was our one view.
Yeah, come on. Come on, son. Now, I will say this. If Florida does not get Chip Kelly, Florida fans are going to riot. At this point, it's Chip Kelly or bust for most people. I know that a lot of them were talking about Scott Frost before Chip Kelly's name was getting thrown around, but now it seems like everybody wants Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
Everybody wants that exciting offense to root for. That's what it is.
Well,
And you can get it in either Scott Frost or Chip Kelly. They were both at Oregon.
He has an exciting West Coast offense, though. I feel like it would be weird to see that Florida running that.
Well, I mean, it's different because you're right. They don't have that sort of composition of their roster to run that kind of offense. But I think that Scott Frost or Chip Kelly could figure it out because they ran the same offense together when they were both at Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that the Oregon offense is really a fit for a Florida style, especially the up-tempo, tire your defense out. Who cares about what your defense does as long as your offense scores 50 points? I don't think that really fits Florida's play style.
Because Florida's known for their defense.
Yeah, they're great at recruiting defense. Why not use that to your advantage? Why tire them out and run up-tempo again? I think Florida is at its best when it's more of a slower offense. I know that Tim Tebow didn't run the slowest offense in the world, but he wasn't up and down the field running hurry up all the time either. So
Absolutely. You just need a standard tempo, really. And Muschamp took that way to the extreme level, to a point where he said that he wanted a very slow offense so the defense stays on the field. And we're like, what?
does it make you guys mad to see people at Florida leave the school and go on to other successes elsewhere?
Not really.
I know it bothers me sometimes, but like Will Muschamp going to South Carolina, they're one of the surprise teams of the year. They're having a great year. And then, you got Cam Newton goes on to win a championship with Auburn. You got Will Grier over at West Virginia lighting it up.
Will Grier, out of those things you mentioned, is the only one that upsets me because that situation was not handled well. The Cam Newton situation was handled the way it was supposed to be because he was stupid in his own right. He couldn't be at that school
so was
anymore.
Will Grier.
Huh?
So was Will Grier. He took
No. I mean,
PEDs.
the kid was stupid, right? But he didn't go and get suspended from the school over trying to log in and hack into the school system. What he did was right. It was wrong from an athletic perspective.
Okay,
but
roiding
not
up
school.
with a drug that was legal 2 months prior to being caught with it.
Regardless, the situations were different between Newton and Grier, and I think that his situation was handled bad with Grier and whatever with Newton. He was a backup at the time; nobody knew who he was. The thing with Will Muschamp is he wasn't an awful head coach for the Gators, as some people will say.
He was awful.
But the thing is with him, he was a good recruiter. And when you can go to those middle tier schools that don't have the expectation that the Gators have, you find better success. That's the way I feel about it.
I don't know how I feel about the recruiting thing.
What was the South Carolina Florida score this year?
28-20.
Okay. I was just curious.
Drop a comment on what you think about this whole Florida mess. You know, there's a lot going on. Does a West Coast style Chip Kelly join, or do we get more of a Dan Mullen or Butch Jones?
Scott Frost.
I will not be a Gator fan next year if Butch Jones is there. I'm just going to go ahead and say that.
That's a bold statement.
I'll stick with USF and Stanford and maybe find.
I will say this: if Jimbo goes
Chanticleer.
to A&M, Florida State should hire from within.
Like a coordinator.
Like Kelly?
No. I don't care who it is. It could be the ball boy for all I care. Hire from within.
Red Lightning or whatever the hell.
He's not there anymore. I don't think.
All right, that it.
That is it for this week's episode of the podcast.
Okay, bye. That dragged on at the end. And that sting.